you won't need anything for today's practice, and with this class being a Hatha Plus, I decided to pay a bit more attention to the core and then kind of do a very meditative practice towards the end. So let us begin most comfortable by lying down. So we'll just lie down on our backs. And I would ask you to step the feet down today. So maybe not using bolsters or cushions under the knees, but just placing the feet down. We'll begin with the feet quite wide in a constructive resting pose. So I like my feet almost touching the edges of the mat and then dropping the knees in. So especially as we're doing a bit of core work, I would love you to just think about the psoas and the hip flexors in general. And if you enjoy that, you could even place your hands over them if they're not as cold as mine. So to really connect with the area of the pelvis, to get a sense of ease as the hips are in a bend, feeling and connecting to this area where we're holding our grounding qualities. Sense of security when everything is well and balanced in this area. Allowing yourself to settle in with these thoughts and grounding towards the floor. Feeling into the security and support that you have physically right now on your mat. Starting to deepen your breathing into full yogic breaths from the belly rising to the ribs, up to the collarbones, and then out again from the belly to the ribs and to the collarbones. As you establish that as a breathing pattern, you might add Ujjayi technique or the narrowing of the air passage in the throat and creating a slight hissing sound. And as you continue the breath, we will change the positioning of our legs as you bring your feet together and let the knees just for a moment roll out to the sides. If this is unbearable, please come back to the previous position or maybe pop some support underneath the legs. Otherwise, continue your full yogic and Ujjayi breath. Thinking about inviting now the fresh energy as you're inhaling and releasing the stagnant as you're exhaling. Continue for 2 more breaths. Once you've completed those 2 breaths, you might use your hands to guide your knees back up and place the soles of the feet back down onto the floor. Before we begin our first movement as such, I'd ask you to bring the feet out wider again. This time, let the arms drop away from the body. Keep the arms below shoulder height, maybe elbows soft and really grounding down through the shoulders into the mat. And as you're next inhaling, let your knees roll over to the right-hand side. And just pause there for a deep, full breath. Noticing how that impacts the hips, legs. Waiting for the next out breath to pull the legs up with inner strength, and then inhaling as you let the legs roll over to the left. And now we'll pause here, allowing a full in and out breath. Again, please wait for the exhalation and use your inner strength to pull the knees up. Stepping your feet now down to about hip distance apart, and if you're wearing socks, it might be a nice idea to take those off. As you place them down at hip distance, just walk them up towards the buttocks, no pulling or any harsh adjustments here, just fairly close towards the buttocks. And we will turn the arms downwards, so the palms are now touching the mat by your side. We're not going into a full bridge yet. I will ask you to simply, as you're breathing in, to tilt the pelvis in a way that you're grounding through the whole back onto the mat. And as you're breathing out, to do the opposite and to arch the lower back away from the floor. So while you're inhaling, almost pressing the spine into the floor by a pelvic tilt. And then on the out breath, arching away from the floor. On the inhale, tilt to flatten the spine. On the exhale, arching away from the ground. Now continue that for another 3 rounds. Staying with that same breathing pattern as you're arching and flattening the spine. When you completed those breath and rounds, relax the back into a neutral position and just assess how you're feeling right now. I will ask you to repeat the movement to stay with your full breath, but to reverse the breath in regard to the movement. So while you're now inhaling, arch away from the floor as you tilt your pelvis back. And as you're exhaling, tilt it forward and flatten the spine onto the ground. And then you keep that flowing. Inhale, arching away from the floor. And exhaling to flatten the spine. And then keep going like this. Deep breaths as you arch away on the inhale. And flatten back on the exhale. Noticing how it makes you feel to change the breathing pattern in relation to the movement. And practice that for 1 more round after your current one. And then have a pause here as well. Don't change your legs. We will make good use of this leg position now. As we've done that now, let's inhale and squeeze the buttocks as we're lifting our hips up for a bridge. And we'll continue moving for a little as we're breathing out, rolling the spine back down onto the floor. You can utilize the pelvic tilt as you inhale and squeeze the buttocks and lift the hips up for your bridge. And when you're breathing out, rolling your back again onto the mat. Keep this going, but if you like, bring in the arms as you're inhaling, lifting the arms over the head, the hips lifting up for your bridge. And when you're breathing out and the spine's rolling down, releasing the arms back down by the sides. Keep going for 3 more. On the inhale, lifting. On the exhale, releasing. Take your time. If you're a little bit slower, don't worry, there will be time to catch up. Whenever you've completed, you will come back to the starting point where the arms are by the sides, the palms are touching down onto the floor, and you might notice how you're going now. If in general you have difficulty holding a bridge in the air, you could use a block and pop that underneath, which makes it a little bit more achievable. Otherwise, I encourage you to hold the bridge. As we're inhaling, we're squeezing again, lifting our hips up. And now we're holding here. You can ground down through the hands into the floor, or you could place your hands onto your hip and shuffle your elbows under to support this bridge. Again, just an option to choose from. While we're holding the bridge, encourage, unless you're supporting it, your tailbone to move up towards the backs of the knees, just to engage a little bit more and stabilize further. And then lifting your heels off the ground. While you hold here with stability, lift the right foot and land the ball again. Lift the left foot and land on the ball of the foot. If this is too strong, you could have your feet flat on the ground instead. Otherwise, keep walking here. Your aim is stability in the body, so we're really strengthening. Try and remember the tailbone moving up towards the backs of the knees rather than encouraging the hips to drop downwards. And if you occasionally struggle with that, have your feet on both on the ground, readjust that little pelvic tilt that helps with stability, and then go and walk again. Tailbone towards the backs of the knees, and one foot lifting after the other. Do so once more with each foot. And then once you've done so, ground your heels down first. Draw the tail back up towards the backs of the knees before you use your next exhale to roll down onto the mat. Slowly and gently releasing the pelvis down. Let the arms open for a moment away from stability. And while you're inhaling, let your knees roll to the right again. Your head might roll to the left, and we're pausing here. Inhale and exhale. And on an exhalation, use your inner strength and pull the knees back up. We repeat to the left as we breathe in, the knees are rolling to the left, your head might roll towards the right. We're pausing here, inhale and exhale fully. Waiting for the out breath to pull your knees back into the center. As we bring our hands back down by the sides, we'll invite you back into the bridge. If anything here is getting too much, you can keep your back resting on the floor and maybe just do the legs. And if it's not enough, you will find something else that increases the strength. So let us take that tilt in the pelvis as we inhale, squeezing the buttocks and lifting the hips up into the air. And we will encourage our tailbone back towards the knees, lifting the right leg up into the air and placing the ankle on top of the thigh. Let the knee roll out towards the sides and keep a flexion for the foot so the toes are gently drawing back towards the knee. Squeeze the hips up a little bit higher, tail again towards the knees. And then as we inhale, we're lowering a little or all the way down. And when we're exhaling, we're squeezing the hips back up. So inhale, lower. Exhale, squeeze the buttocks and push the hips up. Inhale to lower. Exhale, squeeze to lift. Keep going for a few more. Hoping to build up a lot of inner strength. 2 more to go. As you hold up, stepping the right foot down and then releasing slowly your back onto the mat. Let the arms open, the soles of the feet touch, the knees fall out to the sides, and allow yourself a few breaths just to come back to an easy breathing pattern. You can have sighs here too if you prefer. From here, let us lift the knees back up. Please realign your feet to hip distance and reasonably close to the buttocks, and bring your arms back down by the sides to support you. Same options as on the other side. While we're inhaling, tilt the pelvis, squeeze the buttocks, and roll up into your bridge. We will lift our left leg up and place the ankle to the right thigh while the knee drops out. We're engaging into flexion of the foot, the toes towards the knees. Think about your tailbone moving up towards the knees, and then we start our movement. On the inhale, lower the pelvis. On the exhale, squeeze the buttocks to lift up. On the inhale, lower. On the exhale, squeeze to lift. Just thinking about the squeezing of the buttocks and that, then the push up towards the full bridge, rather than just engaging into a movement. 2 more to go. One's back up there, stepping the left foot down and then rolling down again onto the back. Notice what you need right now, maybe arms away and just a little bit of rolling the knees from side to bring ease back into the back. Before bringing both knees up towards the chest, and then just give them a big hug in. You can embrace them as much as is possible, as much as feels good for you. And if you feel it's beneficial, you can also rock from side to side while holding onto the knees. For our way towards a seated position, I'd ask you to bring your legs out long now. and bring them out wider than the mat if that's available to you. As usual, when we're using our core, the hands will go towards the lower abdomen. Again, bring a flexion into the feet so the toes are pointing upwards and the soles of the feet are kind of as if they were standing against the wall. We will now inhale through the nose and we'll exhale from the mouth, and maybe it's just a lift of the upper body and looking through between the legs. On the inhale, you can lie all the way back or lower. Exhale. Inhale, lying back. If any of you feel the inner strength is sufficient to sit all the way up, please do so. Keep breathing out of the mouth. Support the head if it feels the neck is not strong enough. There's no shame around that. Rather than allowing stress to come in, bring in support. Going for 2 more. And then relax the feet, relax the arms again, and maybe bringing the knees slowly back into the chest. This time we will rock from side to side, just to gather some momentum. If you feel that's enough momentum for you, you roll over to your side to come up to sitting. Otherwise, you might rock a few times forward and back to come up to sit. And once we are seated, we will go into a boat shape movement. So I'd ask you to step the feet down in front. Have your hands just lightly behind and just figure out where is that space between the sit bones in which you can balance. Keep a length in your back. And then lifting just the right arm and touching the left hand fingertips to the ground. And then change that. Right hand fingertips down, left arm reaching forward. And we'll change that. So we go with a twist of the upper body. And it really just is a reach forward with one arm and a tapping down of the other hand's fingertips. The head is moving too with that the neck. As we change the gaze towards the backhand. Going for one more round here. And then once you've completed, bring the hands down more firmly behind your back. Either you have your fingertips pointing forward, as we're now going into a tabletop, or you step your fists down behind you. Now for my shoulder issue's sake, I won't lift up, but you might. So have your feet down at hip distance, squeeze the buttocks. So I'll just briefly do that with you, and then I will pause as we're pushing the hips upwards, and then we'll lower them a little. And then we're squeezing the buttocks again, pushing the hips up. And we inhale to soften them again. Exhale, squeeze them up. And repeat that one more time. Before you're releasing your hips back down onto the mat, we'll ask you to touch the soles of your feet together. Let the knees fall out like a butterfly shape. Maybe you can take a hold of your ankles or your toes, and then lengthening through the spine, taking a deep breath in And a full breath out as you might lean just a fraction deeper forward towards your feet. Keep your spine long though. Gaze could be down, but way in front of your feet. Allowing another breath in. And as you're next exhaling, sway the body a little from side to side and maybe finding your way further forward. Maybe your forearms can rest down, but not so important. Keep the spine long for this round. Lengthen even more as you're inhaling. And deepening the straight forward bend as you're breathing out. As we find our way back towards a boat, the feet will step on the ground again. You can have them already at about hip distance apart and just your fingertips resting behind. Lengthen again through the spine so you can find that space between the sit bones. We will do nothing much different, but maybe lifting the heels off the ground. And then we're reaching one arm forward, tapping the other hand fingertips behind. And we will change that again. So keep that same movement going, but maybe your heels are off the ground. If you now notice, that's pretty much the same for you as you experience it, you can lift the feet off the floor, maybe even touch your legs together as you continue the movement. Keeping the length in the spine to allow for the twist, the arms moving. Last round. And then releasing your feet back down. Again, the hands, either fingers pointing forward or fists down on the ground. We will change things a little. You could stay completely seated if this is all too much. Otherwise, lift your hips back up into the air. Bring your right ankle on top of your left thigh, same as we did for the bridge. And we'll lower on the inhale and push back up on the exhale. Inhale, lower. Exhale, push it up. Repeating maybe just a couple more times. And then just lowering your hips down, but keep your ankle, if possible, on the thigh. You can have the left foot as far away or as close by as you like. You can walk your hands a little bit in. Please do keep that flexion in the right foot. And draw your chest towards your shin. Up to you how far away or how close you are towards the shin. And just allowing a little bit of a stretch. Notice if it might feel more beneficial to ever so slightly tilt the legs to one side. I can't tell you which one that would be. So you might want to try both sides. Maybe yours is in the center. Stay for another deep inhale and exhale before we're releasing our foot back down. Rising once more up onto the fingertips behind, once more finding the space between the sit bones. We will twist it all now. So if you like, you can lift the heels off the floor or even the feet. And while we're twisting to the left with the legs, the right arm is reaching up. We're finding our center and then repeat that to the other side. So maybe you can balance. Maybe you're keeping yourself a little bit more grounded. Up to you. Hope you're starting to feel the warmth coming into your center. One more round. And then we'll pause. I promise this is the last round here as you bring your fists behind or your hands with the fingers pointing forward, feet again at hip distance. Squeeze your bottom as you're lifting your hips up. And now the left ankle comes to the right thigh. Left knee falls out to the side. On the inhale, lower. On the exhale, push up, squeeze your bottom. Inhale, lower. Exhale, squeeze it up. 3 more to go. And after the last one, lower the hips back down. This right foot as close in as far away as you like. Step your hands up. Lift your chest towards the shins. Keep a flexion in the left ankle joint. And try to smile as you're breathing. Your choice to have that saddle tilt to the left or the right. And you might be surprised that on this side it could be different. Lifting the chest up towards the shin. Staying a couple more breaths. And then as we release, we will allow the soles of the feet to come together once more. This time we're not holding onto the feet. This time we're actually sliding them a little bit further away. I like to walk out my sit bones before deepening this shape and then placing the hands down right into the diamond shape in front of you. Take a breath in and again lengthen through your spine. Let the shoulders come down the back. And then as you're exhaling, start to sway again. And this time your hands could slide underneath the legs, if that's comfortable at all. Well, comfortable, reasonable. If you like, you can embrace your feet with your hands. Kind of a double prayer position, one that starts with the feet touching and then the hands embracing the feet. Here, it's nearly impossible to have a long spine, but I'd still ask you to lengthen right from the hips upwards as you begin to lower your head towards your feet. Let the back round and maybe utilize with a gentle pull the arms underneath your legs. You could close the eyes here and we will stay for 5 breaths. Depending on the pace of your breathing, you might have reached your last breath by now. When that is the case, slide your arms back up as you raise your back into sitting. Bringing your legs around now as we find our way up onto all fours. We've already done a lot of spinal movement. So hopefully we can stabilize ourselves nicely here. Let us spread the fingers out, their knees at about hip distance. Find the strength through the arms and Hasta Bandha, the hand lock, as we're gripping down with the pads of the fingers, the bases of each finger, and allowing with that some of the weight to really move into the hand and away from the wrist. With the next inhalation, push out through the right heel as you're extending this leg. Find your stability once more. I'd ask you to do nothing much here, but to just lift and lower this leg. Keep it straight for now. Like little bounces. And your aim is to hold the body as still as is possible for now. After about 10 of those, bend the knee, keep the sole of the foot facing upwards, another 10 bounces where you're pushing the sole of the foot up towards the ceiling. Then extend the leg as you point your toes, inhale. And with the exhale, draw the right knee in, stepping or helping your foot forward between your hands. Now come up onto your fingertips as you lengthen your spine. Tuck your left toes under, and if that's possible, extend out your left leg. While you're next inhaling, collapse your whole lunge. And when you're exhaling, aiming to curl yourself up into standing. And when you inhale, lifting the arms up. Now, on the exhale, bring the hands down in front of your chest. Soften into the back knee. Now, I'll ask you to engage into Charlie's Angels Mudra as you interlace your fingers and touch the index finger together. Now, extending your arms out in front of you. Make sure the shoulders are still at ease. And everything from here will now be an option as we're leaning the spine forward. If that's too much for the arms, hands come back in front of the heart. You could lunge forward and turn this into a warrior 3, as you might lift your left foot. Now, while you're breathing out, draw your hands and your knee together. While you're inhaling, extend it. On the exhale, pull it in and try not to lose your balance. On the inhale, extend it again. Exhale, pull it in. 2 more if you dare, or if you can balance. Cheating is always allowed, as you can see. It's a way of taking care of yourself. Let's reach out long again. Land the foot to the ground. Land the heels. Turn your toes. Keep the mudra. Stretch up towards the ceiling. Big inhale. Toes outwards. Big swing through. Breath out. Let's do 2 more of those. Inhale. And 1 more. Inhale. Let your hands land down and walk them all the way across toward the right foot, lifting the left heel again. And we're stepping the right foot back into our first downward dog. If you like, you can walk this dog out. Move your hips, find your space. With the next in-breath then, landing back down on an all-4 stance. Let's spread out the fingers again, grounding through the bases, the pats of the fingers, knees at about hip distance apart, neck is engaged, and the head with that lightly lifted. We'll repeat, hopefully the same on this side. So while you take your inhale, extending your left leg out right through the heel. Take time here to adjust the balance between the arms. And then we'll go for about 10 little bounces of a straight leg up and down. Whenever you think they are completed, you will bend the knee, keep the foot in flexion, and you're pushing the sole of the foot up for about another 10 rounds. Notice the stability that you're holding here, or re-engaging into it. And then once completed, stretch out into the toes, and on the out breath, bring your knee forward and either step or help the foot towards the front. Come to fingertips as you now lengthen the spine. And if available to you, tuck the back toes under as we're extending the whole leg. Now on the inhale, collapse this lunge. And on the out breath, curl it up right from there as you inhale, lifting the arms up again. And we'll find our Charlie's Angels mudra, but we'll change the interlace of our fingers as we draw the hands down, in front of the chest. Extending the arms now towards the front. And the same here, if this is not right for you, take the hands to the heart. Otherwise, lean forward like an arrowhead lunge. And from there, coming into a warrior 3. On the out breath, pull your hands and your knee together. On the inhale, extend this out long. On the out breath, pull it in. And we'll aim for 3 more. Have some fun with this balance. If you're falling out, perfectly normal. Have a dance. If you can get another movement in, and even if that means you're tapping the foot to the ground. After the last one, extend, land the foot down, reach the arms up again, turn your toes out, big breath in, swing forward. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, swing it through. One more. And then stay nice and low. Release the hands. Walk them over towards the left foot, lifting the right heel and retreat into a down dog. If you feel you need to move this down dog, please do. If you prefer to have your knees on the ground today, please have them there. I would in that case suggest that you're tucking the toes under and reaching your hips up and back for a puppy shape. So either down dog or puppy. And once you've released all movement, find some stillness in that shape. Head low, we're using it as our inversion right now, as you allow yourself to stay. If you're in a down dog, think about the curve your spine might want to have, especially the one in the lower back. And you might get there by softening the knees and reaching your tailbone further up and back. Keep the shoulders open, space around your neck. Take a deep, full yogi breath in. Engage lower abdomen for the full breath out. And hold for another 2 breaths of this kind. When you completed these breaths, take the next inhale to land your knees down. Bring the knees out wide, big toes together, and sit your buttocks back to the heels as you come to rest in a child's pose. Arms can be forward, but you could also wrap them around your knees. If you need some ease in the shoulders here. Staying and breathing. Focus, awareness comes inside. Then turn your hands back forward, walk them up and in towards your knees, and let your legs come out in front. We've had some stretches to the inside of the legs. I would love us before we're lying down to get a stretch into the backs of the legs. So if you need a rolled up mat or a cushion underneath the buttocks, please place that there. Then walk out your sit bones to feel grounded And start with your knees in a bend and the toes facing upwards. Hands down by the sides, almost like a staff pose. Take an inhale. And as you're breathing out, fold forward right from your hips and just step your hands one step forward. Looking down towards the toes while the back remains long. Inhale here again. And as you exhale, maybe take a tiny step further forward. Maybe your belly is now resting against the thighs. If you feel this type of support and there's no pull in the back, you can slide the heels out a little bit further, maybe deepen a bit. And with the next exhale, then also lower the upper body, looking down to the space between the knees. Try and keep your toes facing upwards to align the legs. And now breathe out deeply. And again, engage that lower abdomen as you draw that inwards on the out breath. Almost feeling a light wave coming through the back, just caused by your breath. So we're not really actively waving, but we're allowing the breath to bring in some gentle movement. Stay with this another 3 breaths. When you completed the 3 breaths, come halfway out on the next inhale. And then just walk your hands or slide them back into a seated shape. Now, if you want to put your things back on, this is a good time to do so, such as popping socks and jumpers back on. And we will then release ourselves down onto the back quite gently. We've done enough core strength, I suggest. So just rolling down onto the back when you're ready. And for now, we're not going into relaxation quite yet. So I'd ask you to have the arms a little bit away from the body so that the palms are facing upwards. The neck in neutral. And if possible, the legs come out long. Now, if you do need a slight support under the knees, that will be fine. But we will be moving. So with the next in-breath, just let your toes roll inwards and maybe touch together. With the out-breath, let the feet roll out to the sides. That's easy, isn't it? Let's breathe in, touching the toes together. And on the out-breath, letting them roll open. So as you inhale, toes are touching. And now on the out breath, as the toes are rolling out, the sound ah. Inhaling, toes touching. Ah. Repeat that again. Inhaling, touch your toes. Ah. As the feet roll apart. Now let the legs relax in that position. Breathe in to stay. And as you're breathing out, just rolling the arms right up from the shoulder to touch the palms down onto the ground. On the inhale, rolling the arms open. On the exhale, palms touching, arms rolling inwards. So as you inhale, open. And as you close them, an ooh. Inhale, open. Ooh. Inhale, turn palms up. Ooh. Inhale, open. Ooh. Leave the hands just resting as they are now. Turn down towards the floor. And as you're next inhaling, just roll your head, keep it on the ground to the right. And as you're exhaling, rolling it to your left. On the inhale, rolling the head to the right. On the exhale, to the left. Do that again, inhaling right. Exhaling to the left. Now, as you continue this, we bring in the sound of So as you inhale to the right, exhale. Inhale, head to the right. And then pausing the head as well. Now, our big task is now to move all these parts at the same time or just after each other. So with the in-breaths, first roll the toes in, then the palms out, the head to the right. And as you're exhaling, open your feet, close your hands and turn your head towards the left. We'll do that one more time. As you inhale, touch your big toes, roll the hands open, your head to the right. On the exhale, open your feet, touch the palms, head to the left. And now we'll do that together with the sound. Inhaling, big toes, hands, head to the right. Feet touching again. Inhale, hands opening, head to the right. Exhale. We'll do that again. Inhale, toes touch, hands open, head to the right. Let's repeat 2 more. Inhale. Once you've completed the round, just let the hands open, the head center, and we arrive in Shavasana. If you want any support now, please have that. Otherwise, just stay. Body hopefully completely ready to relax. And you might even feel the vibrations of the sound within the body. Maybe the effect of the movement as well. Allowing yourself to settle, to find the stillness of Shavasana in which you remain for a little bit longer. Maybe bringing back to mind something we were yesterday, the truth, truthfulness, satya. What better place is there to find our own truth than to meditate? In a book called manual of the warrior of light, it says, the warrior of light meditates. He sits in a quiet place in his tent and surrenders himself to the divine light. When he does this, he tries not to think about anything. He shuts himself off from the search for pleasure, from challenges and revelations, and allows his gift and powers to reveal themselves. Even if he does not recognize them then, these gifts and powers are taking care of his life and will influence his day-to-day existence. While he meditates, the warrior is not himself, but a spark from the soul of the world. These are the moments that give him an understanding of his responsibilities and of how he should behave accordingly. The warrior of light knows that in the silence of his heart, he will hear an order that will guide him. If you want to stay lying down for your meditation, please do so. If you want to find an upright seat, please move a little and get yourself there. We will align our thoughts with our breath with the simple mantra of Sat Nam. Sat meaning truth, Nam meaning identity. This mantra could translate into truth is my identity. You can start doing this mantra out aloud or silently. Sat on the in-breath, Nam on the out-breath. Sat, Nam, Sat, Nam, Sat, Nam, Sat. Please continue. You just for now, let this mantra go. And if you're still resting, lying down, just preparing yourself for some movement. Finding your way back to a seated shape. Where we join the hands in together. Thumbs might lightly touch the sternum, the head in a very gentle bow. And from the truth within, we will extend to each other. Sat Nam.